Hello, and welcome to Stories from India, a podcast where we talk about myths, legends, and folk tales from India. I'm your host, Narad Muni, and I'm a mythological character myself. I have the gift of eternal life and knowledge of the past, the present, and the future. By profession, I'm a traveling musician and a storyteller. So the way I'm doing my job is by podcast. In today's mini episode, we'll meet a popular character we've encountered in this podcast before. And that is a Betaal. A Betaal is a reanimated corpse, often approximated to a vampire, or sometimes a zombie. But in reality, a Betaal has very little in common with either. The word revenant fits better. A vampire is basically just an undead creature, popularized by Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. He added a bunch of weird things, like the repulsion to garlic and to crosses, as well as helplessness if not invited inside your home. A Betaal has no need of all that. A zombie is closer to a Betaal in the sense that both are reanimated corpses. The difference is that the Betaal does not want to eat brains. And the Betaal is intelligent, knowledgeable, and in full possession of the ability to speak and to hear. The most well-known version of the Betaal appears in the Vikram and Betaal stories. A poor word choice led to the inappropriate comparison between a Betaal and a vampire. Sir Richard Francis Burton, a British explorer in India, wrote up the Vikram and Betaal stories as Vikram and the Vampire, despite the obvious dissimilarities between the two. All that a Betaal really wants to do is to hang upside down from a tree in a cemetery. And since Betaals are already dead, there is no worry of blood rushing to the top of their heads. Besides being able to hang indefinitely from a tree, a Betaal possesses another superpower. It can predict the future. And it knows a lot of stories. Both of these help King Vikramaditya, or Vic as we've been calling him in this show. Now, there is a hill in the city of Pune called the Vetal Tekdi, or Vetal Hill. This is not the same as the Betaal we are talking about. There's a temple at the top of the hill called the Vetal Temple. Confusingly, there's a god named Vetal as well, and the temple is named after him. The god in that temple is not a revenant, because that would be super weird. The god Vetal is more well known in the Indian state of Goa. If you wonder how the Betaal became a Betaal, the answer is magic. Yes, quite literally. And if you said mad scientist experiment, you'd be right as well. There was a couple who prayed for a child for a long time. They went to the local witch doctor. The witch doctor promised them that they would have not one, but 2 little boys, twins. But he did that on condition that the boys would stay with him. And that may make you question why the couple agreed to the deal at all. The guy was obviously evil. But they did agree, and they did have twin boys. When the boys were past the diaper stage and were old enough to start doing chores, the witch doctor claimed them and had them do chores. He also subjected them to some experiments, both psychological and physical. He ill-treated one boy, but gave him unlimited access to knowledge, basically to his extensive library. He treated the other boy really well, but fed him very limited information, just enough to survive and to communicate with the rest of the world. Ultimately, one of the experiments changed the knowledgeable but ill-treated boy into a Betaal. More on that in future Vikram and Betaal episodes. The Vikram and Betaal stories may remind you of the 1001 Arabian Nights, but the similarity is superficial. Yes, there's a common framing narrative, but the princess's priority in the Arabian Nights was to keep herself alive by spinning up cliffhanger after cliffhanger. The Betaal, on the other hand, was testing King Vikram's analytical skills. The stories the Betaal narrates are a bit like case studies, with a tricky question that the audience is then invited to participate in. But typically, it's Vikram who always provides the right answer. Except once. But more on that in a future episode. That's all I have for this mini episode. Check out the show notes for links to the other Vikram and Betaal episodes that we have done before. In this weekend's full episode, we are going to explore a tale from Tamil Nadu. It's a tale of heartache, of poor decision making, a case of misidentity, and revenge served toasty warm, not cold. If you have comments or suggestions, please leave a comment or a review on the site sfipodcast.com or tweet at sfipodcast. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to the show to get notified automatically of new episodes. Thanks to all of you listeners for your continued support and your feedback. The music is from purpleplanet.com. That's purple-planet.com. I'll see you next time.